The night was supposed to feel like family, but I should have known better. The long dining table at our parents' house was set with roast chicken, wine glasses, and that fake air of togetherness they only pulled out when outsiders came. My sister Amanda sat at the head of the table like some kind of royalty, even though she hadn't worked a day in her life. Mom hovered around her, pouring her wine, laughing at her stories, while I sat at the far end, barely acknowledged, my stomach turning because I hadn't eaten all day just to save the last bit of money for rent. "Why are you slouching like that, Rachel?" Mom snapped across the table, her tone sharp enough to slice through the clinking of silverware. "Do you always have to make everything about you looking miserable?" Amanda smirked, leaning her chin on her palm. "Maybe that's because she doesn't have a life worth smiling about. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." The table erupted in laughter. Uncles, aunts, cousins, all joining in as though humiliating me was part of the evening's entertainment. I clenched my fork, kept my head down, but my dad wasn't done. He slammed his hand against the table, making the plates jump. "Enough!" he barked, standing up with his chest puffed like he was about to give some grand speech. He pointed his finger at me, his eyes red from wine. "Do you know what you are? You're street garbage, that's it. We carried you around like trash, and you stink up this family every damn time you walk into a room." My cheeks burned, my chest tightened. I tried to swallow back tears, but then he stood behind me, yanked the back of my chair, and kicked me hard in the side as I stumbled up. My fork clattered to the floor. My body slammed against the wall as the laughter roared louder, echoing like a nightmare that wouldn't stop. Amanda laughed the loudest, pointing at me. "Dad's right. She doesn't belong here. Garbage belongs outside." And Mom, her laugh cut the deepest, cold, sharp, merciless. "She should be grateful we didn't put her in the dumpster the day she was born." I stood there frozen, my body trembling, but not from fear. Something inside me snapped. They all looked at me like I was dirt beneath their shoes, and for the first time, I stopped begging myself to believe they would ever change. Dad shoved me toward the door, growling, "Get out! Don't come back, Rachel! You're not family. You never were." I stepped out into the night air, my clothes sticking to my skin from spilled wine, my cheek stinging where my face had slammed the wall. The cold wind hit me like a slap, but it felt cleaner than the poison inside that dining room. As the door shut behind me and their laughter muffled into the walls, I wiped my face, my breathing steadying. That was the last time they would ever see me as powerless. They thought I was trash, something to toss aside and laugh about. But I wasn't garbage, I was fire. And I swore that night, before the month ended, I'd cancel every ounce of power my father had, and I'd make the whole family choke on the taste of what they'd done to me. The night I was thrown out of that dining room, I wandered the streets until my legs gave out. My phone buzzed with texts from Amanda mocking me, pictures of her raising her wine glass with captions like, "Cheers to garbage-free nights." I deleted every message and sat under a flickering streetlight, replaying my dad's words, "street garbage," over and over like a drumbeat in my skull. But as the hours passed, something inside me shifted. Their laughter stopped sounding like power and started sounding like weakness. Because if I was nothing, then why did they need to break me down so loudly, so publicly? That night, I decided I wouldn't let their words bury me. I'd weaponize them. The next morning, I showed up at work early, my cheeks still bruised, my ribs sore. My boss, Mr. Lawrence, noticed immediately. "Rachel, what the hell happened?" he asked. I smiled through the pain. "Family dinner," I muttered. He shook his head, muttering something about how some families were poison. I buried myself in work, staying late, volunteering for projects no one else wanted. My promotion had been in talks already, but now I made sure there was no question. If my family wanted to call me worthless, I'd rise so high they'd have to crane their necks just to look at me. But I didn't stop there. Late at night, after my shifts, I started digging. My dad prided himself on being the pillar of the community, but I knew he had skeletons buried. I remembered overhearing him on calls, bragging about shortcuts with his contracting jobs. I remembered Amanda showing off luxury handbags when she hadn't had a job in years. And my mom? She had a way of keeping herself busy with fundraisers that always seemed to end with her wearing new jewelry. I spent weeks quietly piecing it together, bank statements left lying around when I used to live there. Amanda's social media posts flaunting things way beyond her means. Tax records I could access through public filings. Every late night became a puzzle, every discovery another spark fueling me. And then came the opportunity. My promotion announcement was scheduled to be revealed at the company's quarterly celebration, a grand event held in the same downtown hotel my dad liked to use for his so-called charity dinners. I knew my family would try to crash it. They couldn't resist any chance to humiliate me publicly. So I prepared. First, I tipped off a local journalist anonymously. I sent her carefully packaged evidence, proof of my dad's contract fraud, Amanda's online scams, and even screenshots of my mom bad-mouthing donors while pocketing extra. The journalist had been chasing my dad for months. My evidence was gasoline on her fire. Second, I made sure my name was plastered across every detail of the promotion. Digital banners, printed programs, even the projector reel. No matter what my family did, they wouldn't be able to erase me from that night. And last, I rehearsed. Not for a speech, but for the moment I'd finally stop being their victim. Because I knew them. They weren't going to sit quietly while I was recognized. They were going to try to drag me out again, call me names, remind me in front of my colleagues that I was garbage. But this time, when they stood up to humiliate me, they wouldn't be dragging me out. They'd be dragging themselves down. As the day drew closer, I felt no fear, just a steady, quiet fire. Every insult, every bruise, every laugh at my expense was about to backfire in a way they couldn't imagine. I didn't want revenge to be silent. I wanted it loud. I wanted the whole city to hear it. And when the night of the celebration arrived, I was ready to watch my family's perfect masks shatter in front of everyone they pretended to impress. The hotel ballroom gleamed with chandeliers, the sound of clinking glasses and polite conversation filling the air. My colleagues gathered near the stage, waiting for the evening's announcements. My heart raced, not with fear this time, but with anticipation. I knew exactly what was coming. And then, like clockwork, the doors slammed open. My dad barged in, his voice booming. "Where's the leech? Where's the garbage who thinks she belongs here?" Behind him, my mom strutted in with Amanda, both smirking like this was their private theater. Gasps echoed across the room as everyone turned. "Rachel," my dad growled, stomping across the polished floor, "you embarrass us every damn day. You think you can stand on this stage? You think you're better than us?" He grabbed my arm, just like he had at dinner weeks ago, trying to yank me away. My mom cackled, "Drag her out. She doesn't belong with people who have value." Amanda lifted her phone, recording it all with a cruel smile. "Say cheese, loser. This is going online." But before my dad could pull me an inch further, the projector behind the stage flickered, the lights dimmed, everyone's heads turned toward the massive screen. First came his name, his company's logo, and then, file after file appeared. Fraudulent contracts, forged invoices, screenshots of him bragging about cutting corners while pocketing money, my mom's text threads mocking donors while showing off jewelry, Amanda's PayPal transactions from fake online sales. The entire ballroom gasped in unison. My dad froze, his grip on me loosening as the projector continued its parade of their dirt. The journalist I'd tipped off stood at the back of the room, camera in hand, documenting every reaction. My boss's face turned stone cold, and whispers spread like wildfire. "Is this real? Oh my God, look at that. They're criminals." "Huh," my mom shrieked. "Turn it off! Turn it off now!" She tried to run toward the control booth, but the staff blocked her. Amanda's phone slipped from her hand as the feed showed her scams in detail. Her followers buying lies, her luxury bags traced back to counterfeit schemes. Her face drained of color. And my dad, red-faced, sweating, fists clenched, turned on me. "You did this! You think you've won? You're still nothing!" I didn't flinch. I stepped back, straightened my blazer, and let the silence of the room do the work. Then I spoke, clear enough for every microphone and every person to hear. You called me garbage, but tonight everyone sees the truth. You've been the trash all along. The room erupted. Some gasped, some applauded, some pulled out their phones to capture the moment. My dad staggered, looking around as his empire crumbled in real time. The very people he relied on, the sponsors, the donors, the colleagues, walked out one by one, shaking their heads in disgust. My boss stepped onto the stage beside me, put a hand on my shoulder, and announced into the microphone, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our newest division head, Rachel Davis." The ballroom lit up with applause. My name flashed on the giant screen, bigger and brighter than ever. My parents? They didn't clap. They didn't speak. They stood there, stripped of power, of respect, of their carefully constructed image, their faces pale, their world unraveling, their cruelty exposed for everyone to see. And me? I didn't have to drag them out this time. They dragged themselves out, heads low, muttering as the cameras followed every step of their humiliation. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like garbage. I felt like fire. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.